This week's podcast is brought to you by Little Debbie Family Bakery. Our recipe for success has always been to bake with care, the products you love, and to rush them to your favorite store. Enter promo code SBB on their website to get a free package of oatmeal cream pies. Yes, cream pies with your next purchase of 5 or more snacks. Little Debbie has a snack for you. Turn it up. Welcome back to another rendition of the Sports Betting Brothers podcast with your new frontman, Ron.
And I'm taking over some lead reins this week.
No longer an intern.
Not this week, buddy.
Yeah. Nonetheless, no Reha this week. He did send over a little clip. He's got some family stuff going on. He sent over a 10-minute little, his bit, and we're going to plug that in, as we feel necessary.
I mean, how do you feel about that, honestly?
We'll see how the fans react, really.
It's fans over family is how
that's
I
what I've
always
always said.
I mean, I don't know. Well, like you said, we'll pay respect to, what he's done for the show, and we'll plug in his segment. He's got a loaded segment ahead. We'll plug it in when we feel necessary.
Yeah, tough week for us last week. We'll talk more about that later. But great week, to be an American. Hunting season started in Pennsylvania on Saturday.
Man. How's it going for you so far?
Big archery hunters. Haven't seen a deer yet,
Really?
Full moon. I heard the acorns fell this year, so, most of my hunting is done over field plots. So they're saying the deer aren't coming out of the woods because the acorns fell. Still trying to, get ahead of them, Didn't do as much prepping as I should in the off season.
Me and Ron are just fully engaged in this. Like you said, it's an American week. We got our dips in, so full disclosure, you're going to hear a lot of throughout the show, and we're pumped up. Big archery hunters, like he said.
So we have archery going on, right? The MLB has produced 2 great games in the wild card games. This is exactly what the MLB wanted. Just slugfest with lots of runs scored, great entertainment. It'd be interesting to see how that affects their views.
Who do you got, Ron, for the World Series? Winning it all. Well, we'll start with matchup.
Favorites are, they're saying it's going to be Indians-Dodgers. We got the Indians game on in the background here. I kind of like the way the Yanks are playing. They're really hot. How's their pitching staff going to be? Having been a game behind against the Indians' historic season, historic win streak. But I'd like to see the Yankees, pull it off. I know there's probably a lot of Yankee haters out there. I know some people do love the Yanks. So
I mean, with baseball, it's all about getting hot at the right time. So I definitely agree. But it pains me to say this. I like the Nationals.
Yeah, no, they're great staff.
They're loaded. And then I would like to see the Indians make another run.
As much as I hate Cleveland, they got their championship with LeBron. I do feel for the Indians.
Yeah,
I'd rather see them win than the Cavs.
Well, you just feel bad for the Browns in the end.
Yeah,
It's such a dismal city, and
do 2 championships by the Indians and the Cavs make up for the Browns sucking, or no?
Yes, it does, 100%, because the Browns have been sucking for so long. So I think that'll, cheer up the city a little bit.
Interesting move too by the Indians to roll out Trevor Bauer in Game 1 when they have Carlos Carrasco and Corey Kluber.
Carrasco, former Philly.
Really?
Unbelievable, yeah.
Speaking of Philly, NBA preseason started this weekend. Sixers played their first game last night.
Yes! Oh, yes! They looked all... the team didn't look that great, but hey, Joel Embiid, he's going to be ready by the start of the season. Simmons is a freak, dude.
He's legit.
He's so sick. Fultz, people are quick to jump on Fultz for, not a great game, but he's young, 19. Let's remember that. He's still got to figure.
A freak athletically.
He is. He's got a lot of skill, and it's just a little unpolished right now.
I heard they're trying to change his shot. Is there any?
Yeah, there is. But I heard, from what I'm hearing, is that they're just going to go back to what he had coming out of college, which is what they. Well, hold on 1 second.
One brief moment here while Flad tends to phone.
Brady.
We're bringing in live here.
What's up, Brady?
You guys still there?
You're live.
You're
right
live
now.
right now on the podcast. What do you have to say?
we're talking about the Sixers. You are, well knowledge when it comes to the Sixers. Any thoughts on their first preseason game?
You are live.
Game, the thing that stuck out to me was Ben Simmons, obviously.
We already talked about that.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think Philly fans definitely got what they were looking for. And honestly, I'm just excited to see what he has to bring this whole season.
Okay.
Definitely a next Draymond Green or even better, with stuff in the stat sheet.
Wow. Okay.
The thing about Markelle Fultz that kind of worried me was the shooting.
What do you think of his form?
His shooting game for him. What do you go, 2 for 13 maybe?
We said that, that's a knee-jerk reaction. I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, that's just like a initial thought of the preseason. I'd like to see a better shooting performance, but, we still have Friday to judge. That was just one game, so.
Right. Thoughts on Ja? He looked really good.
Ja did look good. His footwork looked good. After losing 15 pounds,
his new vegan diet.
He was more nimble on his feet.
Love that
Definitely.
word.
Hopefully
nimble.
bring some spark to the second unit,
Quick, Brady, do you have any football picks here? NFL. I know you're not a big college guy. You like anybody in NFL this week?
What are you saying, like a suicide pick? Or?
Yeah, let's go with the suicide pick.
I got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Good pick. At home.
That's a good
At
pick.
home, yeah, against the Jaguars. Am I right there?
Yeah, You got it right. Awesome. Well, thanks, bud.
Thanks for coming in.
I don't know.
Impromptu.
Yeah, I don't know why you called, but thank you for including your segment in on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Hey, a little impromptu stuff there. We love it. That's what the fans like,
He's a big fan.
Yeah, he can,
big fan.
Help out with the absence of Ray.
Yeah.
I got a great cover last night from Arkansas State. Building my role for the week coming up. So, like I said, great week to be an American, to enjoy sports.
Yes, it is. Amen to that.
Enough on the band. Another thing, talking about NBA, Kyle Kuzma, all the Lakers fans out there, looks legit. He looks to be what they thought Brandon Ingram would be.
Wow.
He looks to be a matchup nightmare playing the 3 or the 4. Don't sleep on this kid. He was a senior when they drafted him. He was a great star in Utah.
Great summer league.
Yeah, he's legit, man.
He was phenomenal.
I think he's shooting a lot better than people had anticipated. So.
Lakers have had 3 preseason games, have they not?
Yeah, I was wondering that. You guys were all like, oh, I got to watch the Sixers game.
Yeah.
And I looked, it was their first game. The Lakers just played their third last night against the Nuggets. They are 0-3, but nonetheless, like we said, that is preseason, so we can't overreact. But nonetheless, let's move into...
Should we go into college football here?
Review of Week 5. Started off on a Friday night. Very exciting Friday night. I didn't get to watch this game as I was driving up to the Finger Lakes for a nice weekend, with the girlfriend.
There you go.
Great time. I highly suggest anybody go to the Finger Lakes, even if you're not a wine guy. Before that day, I never had wine. I never had a glass of wine. But, it was a good time.
Really? Did you have a nice Merlot?
We were drinking more of
the
the sweet wines.
Okay.
Did sample some beer as well.
Warming yourself into it?
Yeah, but while all this was going on, while we were driving, Washington State was playing a great game against USC. Huge upset. USC goes down to Mike Leach. We love Mike Leach. Reha's going to give his thoughts on this game a little later. I did listen to his clip a little bit. Sam Darnold, less than perfect, completing only 15 of 29 passes for 164 yards and a touchdown. He did score 2 on the runs, or 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had a chance to save himself again, got the ball back with 1:40, but he fumbled 3 plays later. Let's not take anything away from Wazoo. They played a complete game. Interestingly enough, this was their first win against a top 25 opponent at home in 15 tries. And their first upset of a top 5 team in 25 years.
Always throwing in good nuggets.
Wazoo does have to travel on the road to play Oregon next week.
Ooh, wow.
Tough, they do have an extra day to prepare. Oregon, never an easy opponent. Their offense is going to put up points. It'll be interesting to see. Is this team legit? Can they compete for a Pac-12 title? I like to think so. Yeah, I like to think so.
I think they'll be all right. How bad is Tennessee? Tennessee sucks. Butch Jones... He's got to be fired, I think.
I wrote that down, man.
He's a POS. I think Tennessee's already, if not, they're calling for a new head coach, and they just got completely dismantled by Georgia. Georgia's good. They are a great team. Yeah, I think they're legit. Little nugget here for you. That was the first time Tennessee got shut out since 1994. I was a 2-year-old toddler at that time.
Yeah, and this was their most one-sided loss since 1905 when they lost to Vandy by 45 plus.
Yeah, wow, that's just unbelievable. They get a lot to figure out. We'll see what happens moving forward with that coaching situation. But
Georgia, week 1, we all know their starting quarterback went down. Last name of Jarrett. What's his first name? Jacob Eason, right? He made his first appearance in this game late. Looked good. So it'll be interesting to see what Georgia does. Do they go with Eason or do they go with Fromm? I don't know. And like I said, how much longer does Butch Jones have?
I mean, I don't think they can go from Eason to Fromm and then from back to Eason.
Yeah, you got some decisions to make, and the way their defense is playing, it looks like either decision should work. I don't think their quarterback play is going to lose them games. Another lopsided game.
Who you got? Oh,
Auburn ran all over Mississippi State. Let's talk about a fall from grace. Mississippi State looked to be legit after they won as a dog against LSU. But they followed that with a blowout loss to Georgia, who we just talked about, and then getting blown out again in this game. Jarrett Stidham has the offense rolling, threw for 264 and 2 scores, while Karan Johnson added 3 scores on the ground. Nick Fitzgerald is good, but he just doesn't seem up to the task yet to compete with the elite defenses of the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, not much to... I didn't see the game.
Don't sleep on this Mississippi State team. Next week, they play their next game. Might be a great time to bet them.
I saw a week 2 Mississippi State game, and their D-line actually looked pretty good. They always produce solid D-line players.
Yeah, this is where Dak Prescott came from. An interesting stat. I bring this up all the time. The first year of the college football playoff, the first rankings. Do you know who was number 1? The first ranking whatever week
when
they
it
come
came
out was Mississippi State.
Was it really?
Interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
High praise.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Hey, how about the Tigers are another team that's in shambles.
Correct.
They got beat by Troy. In case you guys didn't know,
the Troy Trojans.
The Trojans, yeah. I mean, they're a pretty solid team. From
this
what
is
it
a team
appears.
that gave a scare to Clemson last year.
They play a lot of teams tough. They got a great name. I don't know if you saw the one player on Troy flipping off the LSU fans as the game was ending.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Savage.
Yeah, completely savage. But, well deserved. If you're an LSU fan, you got to feel it right now. And, if you remember a few years back, like you said, that the Troy team, they had LSU beat 31-3 at half.
This was in 2008.
Yeah, and they coughed up that lead late, and LSU came back. Interestingly enough, Troy quarterback Brandon Silvers was at that game. Only this
as
time,
a recruit.
Yeah, he was a recruit, and this time his team was able to hold on to the early lead.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we talked about another coach on the hot seat. Is Coach O? What's he going to do? He said after this game that he takes full responsibility. He's not going to point any fingers, and he needs to do the best coaching job that he has ever done to rally this team and to keep them focused.
I would point a big finger back at him.
Last game, this was game day. Clemson beats Virginia Tech. I did have Virginia Tech in a teaser, so they did get a backdoor cover. It was 31-10 late. They scored late to keep it within 14. Like I said,
yeah, you did keep it. That was a good pick.
Yeah, well, the line was 7. I had them in a teaser.
Is that your 5th dog?
Mm-mm. They didn't cover. The line was only 7. Like I said, in a teaser, they covered for me.
Okay.
So, my first, loss for my dog of the week. But we're going to get back to that. We'll be more on that later. Kelly Bryant didn't play his best game passing, but he almost had 100 yards rushing, he had 200 yards passing. This Clemson defense is legit. We've been saying this. Ray was low on them to start the season. I was high on them. We said this before. All the credit goes to Dabo Swinney.
Absolutely.
He does a great job refilling.
I like Dabo Swinney.
And a matchup between Clemson and Alabama at this point looks inevitable. Can anybody compete with those two teams?
Do you know Dabo Swinney was homeless?
Yeah.
Borderline homeless. Actually, his mom stayed with him at his college dorm room when he was growing up. Fun little nugget there for you.
Look what he's made.
Guy just knows how to grind and makes the most out of opportunities for sure.
I think Alabama and Clemson are in a situation where they've established themselves so much so that they could probably lose 1 or 2 games and potentially still get in the college football playoff.
That's a hot take.
It is a hot take.
I like that, though.
We're going to take a quick break here, dive into some of Ray's stuff, and we'll get back to you with some college football picks.
Ray has to say here. I know he's probably going to bash my Bowling Green pick. Before we take that break, they looked awful. Their quarterback sucks.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
Committed too many turnovers.
They're not going to win a game all year.
We'll see what Ray says here, but we'll be right back with some picks.
Check, 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's rolling. Yeah. Dr. Dre up in here. Y'all know what this is.
Sorry I couldn't make it for the actual live recording of the show. Had a couple things going on this week, family in town. Schedules just couldn't quite match up with Ron and Intern Flad. But I wanted to make sure I still got my picks and plays over to you guys. I'm sure these guys are going to do a great job with the show. Big opportunity here for Intern Flad. He's going to have to carry some weight today on the show, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say once he puts everything together. I know they're going to give a little recap and talk about some of the things from last week, but just from a college football standpoint, a couple things that stood out to me. Obviously, the Friday night game, USC, Washington State, personally, I was on USC and gave them out as a play. Credit to Washington State. We've said many times we're big Mike Leach guys, big Wazoo fans here on the podcast, and they came to play. That's a tough place to play. That's a big victory for them. Curious to see what this team does going forward now. They're going to have to go on the road and play some tough games. So curious to see if they can keep the momentum going. As far as another play for me, just not a good week for me. I guess I shouldn't have been yapping about everyone being Ray guys.
Yeah!
But, there's peaks, there's valleys. Overall, we've been doing okay. But personally, I didn't have a good week last week, and I'm going to hold myself accountable.
That's okay.
Maryland, took it to Minnesota, went in there and got it done. Minnesota just, their quarterback just couldn't really make plays for them. Maryland was running the football really well. The third-string quarterback from Maryland came in and took care of the football. He threw the football around. He did a great job for them. It is what it is. Wisconsin, that game was much more Wisconsin dominant than the score indicates. Northwestern scored a late TD there to cover. Wisconsin absolutely dominated that game in the second half. Florida with an impressive win over Vanderbilt. Georgia Tech takes it to North Carolina. Just kind of looking through some of the scores here to give my overall impressions. I mean, Georgia, 41-0 over Tennessee. Butch Jones, it's time to go, man. He's going to be out of there soon. Georgia, one of the most impressive teams in the country. Looking forward, to seeing what this team can do moving forward. In terms of other teams or games that stood out to me, Auburn takes it to Mississippi State. Auburn's going to be a team to be reckoned with in the SEC. LSU, embarrassing loss to Troy at home. Going to talk a little bit more about LSU here momentarily, so not going to do too much right now. Oklahoma State with a nice bounce-back win against the Texas Tech team. A lot of points scored in that game. Clemson, 14 points over Virginia Tech. Again, we had talked about Virginia Tech. I didn't really think that game was very close. To be honest with you, Tech scores a late touchdown to even bring it in there. To bring it within 14. But as far as this week goes, guys, a lot of good games. I personally am going to be attending the Notre Dame and North Carolina game. But a couple plays for you as we kind of get things rolling here with some of our picks. For me, I'm going to actually look at the Bowling Green Falcons going to the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Sorry, Flad. Line on this game is Miami minus 13.5. Miami of Ohio. Sorry, Flad. Only reason I watched a little bit of this Bowling Green team last weekend was because you mentioned them on last week's show. And good God, are they bad. They had 4 turnovers last week. Only reason they were within 2 scores in a game that featured the line right around a field goal was because they forced a couple turnovers of their own. On the season, Bowling Green's closest game so far was an 8-point loss to South Dakota.
Wow.
The Falcons here are near the bottom in offense and defense in terms of overall rankings in the country. They're only averaging about 16 points per game and giving up around 35. They're only averaging 238 yards passing and barely 100 rushing. They're going to be a dog in every game this year, and honestly, I don't know if they win a game. Miami, Ohio, on the other hand, they faced a tough schedule so far. They were simply outmatched last weekend against Notre Dame in a game that I watched from start to finish. They really are a much better team than their 2-3 record says. They should contend for the MAC title. This is not a game that they can lose, or quite frankly, keep close if they want to do that, if they have the aspirations here to win the MAC title. The Red Hawks are led by Gus Ragland at quarterback. He's thrown for 1,143 yards and 10 touchdowns on the year. He's done a good job of limiting turnovers. He's only had 3 on the year. I really like the wide receiver on the outside, Gardner. He's got an NFL body. He's an NFL talent. He's going to be in the league at some point. 110 yards and 6 catches or so against Notre Dame. He's a tough matchup for any team, let alone Bowling Green. To me, take Miami of Ohio, minus 13.5. You could also look at a first half line there. I think this game's over pretty early, and Miami of Ohio rolls. As far as a second play for me, I'm actually going to go to one of the bigger games in terms of names this weekend. It's LSU at Florida. The line is Florida minus 3. Do you guys remember when LSU ran Les Miles out of town? I bet they're regretting that. This LSU team, complete mess right now. They can't play defense. I don't know what the hell's going on the offensive side of the football. I thought it was an embarrassment that they were even ranked last week. And if their name wasn't LSU, there's no way they would have been. I'm not saying Florida is like a tip-top team by any means. They've won a lot of close games, on their own. But there's a couple of reasons why I think Florida wins this game and ultimately covers the 3 points. First, this is just stating the obvious. The Swamp's a tough place to play. I'm not telling you anything you don't know there. But here's an interesting angle. And I like to look for these kinds of things in college games. Florida absolutely has this game circled on their schedule and has had it circled for some time. Last year, Hurricane Matthew actually caused this game to be rescheduled and was supposed to be played at Florida Stadium. So the LSU AD accused Florida of ducking them because they fired Les Miles, even though they were awful at the time. And the game actually ends up being rescheduled to LSU's field. The Gators go into Tiger Stadium there, win the SEC East by beating Tigers at their place instead of at Florida. And then this year, they tab LSU as their homecoming opponent. Okay, they did that for a reason. Listen, the Gators are going to win this game and cover the minus 3. In terms of plays, those are the 2 that I like. Something else that kind of just stood out to me, maybe a teaser play. I don't love to do teasers in college, but something that I did like Michigan at home taking on Michigan State. You can get that down to 4.5 and take Michigan. I just think I like, Wilton Speight is out for Michigan, and quite frankly, I like the backup more. No one's questioning Michigan's defense. I think that they easily cover this. I think, in fact, they cover the 10.5. But to be safe, take them in the first leg of a teaser. The other leg of this teaser, I actually like Stanford. I think you're going to get some public overreaction here to Utah being a ranked team that's getting points. Listen, this Stanford team has gotten it going. They have a little momentum. They can run the football. Their run game has been unstoppable lately. You can get this down to basically a pick 'em. So I kind of like that in the other leg of a teaser. Given you an NFL teaser the last couple of weeks here and been relatively successful with those. Last week we didn't hit it as the Patriots didn't get it done for us, but a teaser that I like this week when I was looking at everything, I actually like the Steelers in a teaser. The Steelers are back home. They are favored by about 8 or 8.5, depending on where you look, and Jacksonville's coming to town. Jacksonville's a good defense, but I just don't trust what Jacksonville's doing offensively to be able to really cover this game. So you can get the Steelers down to 2.5. As we know, the Steelers are a much better team at home. Ben Roethlisberger plays much better at home. I look for them to get the running game going a little bit. Le'Veon Bell starting to play well last week. Look for Antonio Brown to get involved. I'm looking for Martavis Bryant to have a couple big catches this game. He averages almost 25 or 30 yards per attempt. I'm looking for him and Ben to connect on a few plays this weekend, especially since you gotta think that Ramsey and that Jacksonville secondary are going to be keying in on stopping Antonio Brown. I'm looking for Martavis Bryant to have a breakout game here. On the other leg of my teaser, I'm actually looking at the Carolina Panthers. Listen, Carolina's shown to us, okay, despite some of the hate that this team gets in terms of Cam Newton, he's a rather polarizing quarterback. They've shown that they can go on the road and play. Okay, they played well. They played well last week against the Patriots, and I just really like what this team is doing right now. They go on the road and win against New England last week. They're going to Detroit. Detroit is just a team that's kind of mediocre. They don't really have a good offense, really have a good defense. They're ranked about 20th or so in both of those, on both sides of the football. They've just squeaked out some close games, and that's kind of what they do. Do I think this game will be close? Yeah, I do. I actually do think Carolina should probably be favored in this game by a field goal or so. So I'm going to go ahead and tease Carolina up to about +9 or so. Again, depending on where you get the line. So just to recap, my teaser is Steelers -2.5 and Panthers +9. That's what you'll get after you get the 6 points or so to them. As far as other NFL games go, I think this is a pretty tough week in terms of picking games. There's really nothing else that stood out to me. That's all I got, guys.
Now back to the show. On Nick.
All right, let's go back to the total thing that I tried last week. I didn't get the over with the Texas Tech Okie State game.
Slow start for both teams.
We're going to get back on the right side here. We're going to go to Norman as the Sooners go up against the visiting Ohio State Cyclones. Total in this one is set at 63. I see this going way over. Iowa State ranks 67th in total offense, putting up 32.8 points per game. It's crazy that 66 more teams put up 32.8 points per game. While their defense is actually somewhat good, only allowing 19.5 points per game. Doesn't matter this week as the number 1 ranked offense will shred this defense. Oklahoma averages 48 points per game while giving up 24.8. Both these teams are coming off extended breaks as Iowa State played a week game and Oklahoma had off last week. 4 out of the last 5 games in this series have gone over. Interesting fact, Oklahoma, this is one of the most lopsided matchups of all time. The all-time series, Oklahoma leads 74-5. I see Oklahoma scoring a ton of points here, and I just think 63, I saw that. I thought that was low. I'm taking the over here. I think this one definitely gets it done for us.
Wow.
I think this Oklahoma offense is legit, and they've had some close games, surprisingly. They played Baylor really tight. Baylor put up 40 points. Sometimes they tend to play down to their opponents, so this might allow Iowa State to, score some points. And, they did only score 7 last week against Texas, so maybe that is driving the total down. But 63, I really think Oklahoma is going to score their average. They're going to score at least 48 points. So that leaves what? Iowa State needs to score 15 points.
I like it.
It's going to happen.
I think it's a good.
It's definitely going to happen.
Take the over.
All right, so I hope none of you guys are actually taking my pick seriously for college.
Until you get on track.
Yeah, and I'm, again, intern status, just freshly removed today. So who knows, maybe that means I get my first win.
Yeah,
so
hot take, is it time to jump on board with Flad?
It might be, so take this pick lightly, but also, don't be afraid to throw in some coin here. San Diego State.
Late game.
At UNLV, 10:45.
This is the same UNLV team that lost to Howard as a 40-point favorite, correct?
That is correct, yeah. And, San Diego State's rolling right now. They have an awesome running back, Rashad Penny. The dude's a stud. 7 touchdowns already. He's averaging 7 yards a carry, Ron.
Wow.
Dude can freaking, he can chug.
He's going to have over 7 yards a carry this week against...
Yeah, I like that. I liked him producing, and I think,
What are we laying, 10.5? Last I saw it was 10.5.
It's actually 9.5 now, so
Jump
I like
on
it
it
even
now.
more.
This is going to move above 10 before kickoff.
Yeah, take San Diego State minus 9.5 right now. If you can jump on it right now where it's at, I like the Aztecs there.
A great time. This is like a great betting, put some money on San Diego State now. Depending on what kind of day you have and the line movement, you can always throw more on top. I think that's a great tip.
It's a veteran move
Exactly.
right there.
I think
Something I would not be able to tell you to do, but since I got Ron here, I like that move a lot. Go with the Aztecs.
Let's get your first win.
Let's get my first win. You had another pick, didn't you?
Yes, I did. We got 2 more picks. We have one more pick, and then the dog of the week. That all of you are here for. You're gonna see a trend here with my next pick, Flad. Going to fade ECU again as they welcome the Temple Owls. Temple Owls to town.
Holler.
ECU Pirates allow 50 points per game. No, Flad. They aren't playing with 9, 10 guys on defense. They're not following the rules of two-hand touch. Found at family reunions and church picnics. And no, Flad, they aren't playing pickup games against the Cleary's squad from the Wedding Crashers. Great movie.
Phenomenal.
Vince Vaughn, shredded that team. He all-state quarterback. Great QB. But, this ECU team, back to the point, they are just terrible on defense. This team has been throttled by Power 5 teams and even an FCS team. Their offense is no good either. They don't score. They don't protect the QB. And their QB leads their team in rushing with 159 yards. And in college football, sacks count towards your rushing yards.
Temple's always had a stout defense, too.
And on the other, Temple hasn't been much better, but at least they've been competitive. Given that Temple
they can put up points, too.
Yeah, they got a backdoor cover last week against Houston, and they did have a chance at an upset late. I'm going to take the Temple Owls. Vlad, being a Temple fan, what do you think this line is set at after what I had said?
Well, right now it's at a -2. And
this should be closer to double digits.
I like the Owls a lot. And I think it's a great pick, Ron.
Great opportunity here. Don't even mess with the points. Pick winners and losers. Take the Temple money line.
Yeah, being alumni, aside from that, I think it's a good play. And
this is a turning point for Temple, too. If they lose this game, throw it in this season, man. ECU is garbage.
Yeah. First-year coach Jeff Collins, it's a statement win for him to prove that he belongs in the head coaching spot. And, I like that pick a lot.
All right, I'm going to jump right in my dog of the week. I'm going to go with a rather large dog, in a late-night game. So there's only going to be a couple of games on when this game's going on.
Okay.
The teams are going to be in the national spotlight. I'm going to take the Cal Bears visiting the Washington Huskies. Cal, 27-point dog. They aren't going to win this game, but I think they have a great chance of keeping this within the number. Yes, Washington is a very good team. They did beat Cal by 66 points last year. But I do think Cal has an underrated defense, and I think Washington's offense is overrated at this point in the season. They're not clicking on all cylinders like they were last year. With that being said, I think Cal's the way to go here. I don't think you lay the points with Washington. I had talked about confidence, and after week 2, it kind of went down and down again with last week's pick. But I feel pretty strong about this. So this is more of a confident play.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put anything on the money line. It's not going to happen. But I think Cal can score enough.
You think they cover?
And I think this is another great opportunity. I always say, bet favorites early. What we talked about 2 minutes ago.
In my notes,
you bet dogs late. If you can get this over 28.5 points, this might even go above 31. I think you take that all day.
All right, so I guess
Week
we'll
5
just go,
NFL.
Yeah, we'll go right into NFL
Before
here.
we talk about any games last week, let's talk about some press conferences.
There's a lot that
Cam
happened.
Newton, what an idiot! You can't do that. We'll plug that in here too.
I know you take a lot of pride in seeing your receivers play well. Devin Funchess has seemed to really embrace the physicality of his routes and getting those extra yards. Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of truck sticking people out there?
It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. It's funny.
Monday night, Marcus Peters, hilarious interview for the ages.
Feel me?
You feel me? Gave up 2 tutties. He said his performance went from hella weak to weak.
Yeah, phenomenal. We got 2 phenomenal drops ready for you guys. So, with my producing, I'll be sure to throw both of these in here.
All right, so we're going to go in chronological order here, previewing last week's games. Start out with the London game. Saints beating the Dolphins 20-0. What an ugly game.
Another funny take, we're on the humor track here. The Dolphins ran a set out of Wildcat, or a play out of Wildcat. Jay Cutler, if he had pockets, his hands would have been in his pockets. He was lined up on the outside and literally just stood there and not even in like a wide receiver stance with his hands on his hips, just looking at
Frustrated.
the play. Yeah.
When does he get benched? Because they scored 6 points last week against the Jets.
Yeah, they're pretty putrid. Actually, I was thinking about who do they got this week. They got a pretty shitty team, but I was thinking about taking. I think they got I don't know. I'll tell you here in a second. But they just look bad.
And interestingly enough,
terrible.
they ran the Wildcat. This was the team that kind of brought the Wildcat to life when they ran it with Ronnie Brown. And I know that because Ronnie Brown was on my bench, and he threw like 2 touchdowns. He ran for 1, just like shredded it from the Wildcat.
Ronnie Brown. That's a name for you. They play the Titans this week. Dug it up. I was close to taking them in my suicide poll. Are you still alive, by the way?
I am. I have 2 entries. We're playing for like 20 grand in this pool. There's like 500 people. And yeah, there was a lot of like close games last week. A lot of people got knocked out with the Patriots.
Patriots,
and there was another
Falcons
was another one.
Falcons got
There was
upset.
another game late that like a lot of people had the Jaguars.
Yeah, a lot of people went
and
down on
if
pool.
Seattle would have lost,
I had Seattle. They had
we'd have been talking money if they lost.
Oh, for sure.
So many people had them.
How about the Texans, man?
They shredded.
Is Deshaun Watson legit?
He's worth a fantasy ad, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
an athlete. These like athletic QBs tend to make a lot of noise in their rookie year. You think of Marcus Mariota, Cam Newton.
Sleeper ad for you guys is Will Fuller back from an injury. 2 touchdowns last week.
He did only have 4 catches, so I don't think his touchdown rate will continue at that. But
he's a good value ad here if you can pick him up.
Ravens looking like shit against the Steelers.
Home from London, we'll give him that, I guess.
Yeah, that game usually tends to be very close. So nice to see the Steelers win a game on the road after losing to the Bears. Cincinnati getting their first win against the Browns. Browns are just terrible. A lot of people had the Browns. I did pick last week my sleeper pick, if you will. I picked the Bengals. There was only out of 800 people, only 2 people took the Bengals, and I was one of them.
Wow. Never
Never in doubt. Rams upsetting the Cowboys. That was another upset. I said week 1, we did a preview on the NFL. I said don't sleep on the Rams. They lost week 1, and Ray gave me a lot of shit for that.
He's giving people a lot of shit. And
this Rams team looks like a playoff team.
They're solid. Jared Goff looks like a savvy
passable.
veteran back there.
I really
Todd
believe in
Gurley's
that
back.
team. Yeah,
Rough sophomore
Todd Gurley
campaign.
looks like the best running back in the NFL.
He does. Tough Dalvin Cook injury there. I have him in both leagues.
Wow.
And
Did you handcuff him at all?
Yeah, my one league I'm going to.
It'll be interesting to see who gets the carries.
I got Jerick McKinnon.
McKinnon or Latavius Murray. McKinnon did fumble on his second carry.
He did.
After Dalvin went out. So interesting to see what
I put in a
do there.
20. We have a bid league where you can put in money for bids. I got outbidded actually. I put in a $27 bid only to
out of
to
$100
lose.
for the year.
Out of $100, some jackass put in $30.
Wow.
Just took him right out from underneath me. Yeah.
Wow, that's like a rookie move to put an even number like 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got why didn't you do 31?
Right.
He's lucky to get him there. Carolina going to New England, winning, huge upset. New England plays tonight. They're going to tip off here in 20 minutes.
I got Winston.
Patriots have
starting
not lost back-to-back games. Or sorry, it's like only 6 times since 2004 or something like that. They've only lost back-to-back games 6 times.
It's going to be a shootout, though. You know that.
Yeah, total set at 55. Very high total in the NFL.
Wow. New England's defense is suspect.
They can't top. They can't stop anything.
I mean, I was real high on their defensive coordinator. I think he was a good head coaching candidate when the Eagles were looking. Wanted the Eagles to interview him, but wow, they're soft. Very soft.
Another team that's kind of fallen from grace. The Jags, they looked great in London last week, and they come and they lose to the Jets in OT. I don't understand how that can happen. Another OT game.
It's the Jags.
Yeah, right. Are they? They're like kind of there with the Browns. Like it's like, oh, they're the Browns. Oh, they're the Jags. Another OT game. Cardinals and San Francisco. Let me tell you a little story about this. So I'm watching this game. I bet the over. It's 43 or something like that.
Wow. Bet
the over, right? 12 points scored in the first quarter. First half. And they're all field goals, and I'm like, damn, they're so close to punching it in. Like, offenses are moving the ball. They're just not getting it. So I quick hop on. Second half total is set at 21. 21 even. Like, this is a layup. Throw a ton of money on it. You know, and it's going. They're still kicking field goals. We get another 12 points in regulation, right? Go to OT. And OT's only 10 minutes now. This had tie written all over it. San Francisco goes down. They kick a field goal. On the next drive, Cardinals are in, a win, score. It's sudden death. They don't score, whatever. Kick field goal, tie it. Then it's sudden death. What do? They score a touchdown. And I push the 21. It was an unbelievable push. Wow. I'm so lucky to get it. I still will stick by that. I think that was a great bet. I'm not big in betting second halves, but in games that I watch,
you can feel it.
Our Ramblin' Rodney will tell you, next time he's on the podcast, he is going to tell an insane story about a total in an NBA game where he bet the game and the second half, and he got shit on. And I almost got shit on here too, but I was able to pull out a push, to save myself. If it wasn't for the OT rules, they would have kicked the field goal and it would have gone over. But nonetheless, it didn't. But I'll take a push. A push is sometimes a victory.
Yeah, you deserve that pat on the back. That's awesome.
Another late game, Derek Carr goes down. Not good. As a fan of the NFL, that's not good. I am a Chiefs fan, so not that I'm glad to see someone injured, but
I know Ray kind of called out the Raiders before the season started. That they had a lot to prove this year, and I think he was right. And they're not living up to expectations as far as Amari Cooper can't catch a ball,
can't catch a touchdown.
He can't catch anything. And Derek Carr going down there, I think the Raiders are in a big trouble.
They're in trouble, yeah. EJ Manuel takes over. I don't think he's a bad QB, but they don't play good enough defense to get by with subpar QB play.
I agree. Should we look at week? What we got? Week 5 here.
Let's jump in. And last night, the Monday night game as a bettor.
We got to talk about your Chiefs.
Chiefs kick a field goal to go up 3. Go up by 3 with 4 seconds left, right? Kickoff, touchback. Okay, if they return that ball, game over, right? But they don't. They need it. Time for a backyard bullshit play. Try and get in the end zone. Throw it around a little bit. Marcus Peters causes a fumble. Justin Houston picks it up. Into the end zone. Time expires. Chiefs win 29-20. That touchdown gets you a cover if you bet the Chiefs and put the total over.
Feel me?
Unbelievable. There's an unbelievable play from a gambling standpoint. I did not have anything invested in this game. But, man, I feel for you. If you lost on that, I'm sorry. If you won on that, I'm very happy for you. Week 5 NFL, it's incredible. We're already at the bye weeks. 4 teams on a bye this week. Kicking off with
a tough week.
It is a very tough week, and
we're teams playing shitty teams, good teams playing.
We're gonna give you our survivor picks here to hopefully get you through the next week. This has kind of been a trend for us, so we're gonna go with survivor picks. Vlad, you want to go ahead give what you're doing here on my 2?
Yeah, and just based off of we got a thin pack left here in my survivor pool. And just kind of looking at what everyone's picked already, I know that it's going to be all Steelers this week. So I'm going against the grain, just in case something crazy happens. You never know. Steelers are at home, so I really don't expect them to lay an egg. I think that they're going to do what they have to do to win the game. They're rolling right now, but I'm going to go with the Eagles. And fanboy is going with my team, but I like them against the Cardinals. I think, David Johnson being out, they're not going to be able to do anything at home. With the Eagles being on the road.
Yeah. Early start for them.
Yeah, it's the Eagles should take care of business. There's no reason they shouldn't. So I like the Eagles taking care of business at home and doing what they have to do.
Wise pick there. I picked them as well. Okay. And with my other pick, I did, cave and go with the Steelers.
It's
so
smart. Like I said, it's a tough week. You look at the spreads.
I have two picks, so I tend to go like last week. I went, like I said, I went
Bengals?
Seattle and then the Bengals. I took like the low profile team that I know not a lot of people are going to pick.
Okay.
But getting into some plays here, I like a teaser of the two teams we just mentioned. I like a teaser of the Eagles and the Steelers, getting them both down to around a pick.
Okay.
Another thing to do as a veteran gambling tip here, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to do a teaser. Okay, you need to explore the option of doing a Steelers-Eagles moneyline parlay. Sometimes it does pay better. So, I think you play around with that. And if it is close in odds, I think you go ahead and you just do the moneyline parlay. You pick two winners, and you go from there. You're getting two teams at home. That's what we love to do with NFL. Get teams at home that we think
big teaser
get them
guys
down
here.
to just, to win it. I would advise you stay away from Green Bay. A lot of people are going to tease Green Bay, get them over a touchdown, but they're on the road. And Kansas City, same thing. They're going to be the Sunday night game, two primetime games back-to-back. A lot of primetime games for them. And we talk about this Chiefs team, every week. They're the best team right now. They really are.
Absolutely. They're rolling. I mean, we alluded to it earlier. The Dolphins are playing awful. Their supposed leader, Jay Cutler, doesn't look like he wants to play anymore.
Mariota is questionable, so there is no line on this game yet on my website. I don't know if you have a line there.
I got a -3 Titans.
Okay, interesting. So,
yeah, if he plays, I think you go Titans money line. This would be my third Titans pick. I'm 1-1 with the Titans. But yeah, it's kind of dependent on Mariota's status. Healthy Mariota. Take the Titans money line there. That would be my pick for the week. If not, it's like I said,
it is a tough week. A lot of tight lines this week.
Very tight.
Big game. NFC West race. Seattle and the LA Rams. The Seattle team did have a good week last week, but they're still not. They don't. I feel like on every touchdown they score, it's like Russell, just scrambling all over the place and finding someone wide open. Their line can't block. Their running backs are hurt. I think they're going to go with Eddie Lacy.
Wow.
Yeah, I love
It's
Eddie
like
Lacy.
their fifth running back that they're using this year.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. This Rams team seems legit. But there's this thing in the back of my head. It's still the Rams.
I think the Green Bay Dallas line's very interesting. The fact that Dallas tough loss last week. Maybe it's a bounce back game, and they take care of business at home.
Tough game for that. They could fall below 500.
Yeah, very tough.
Lose this game.
Is it a must win for Dallas?
Maybe.
I mean, the Eagles kind of have a soft schedule here for the next couple weeks. So yeah, it might be a must win.
There's going to be a team that gets their first victory in the Chargers-Giants game.
Let's talk about that game. I like the Giants.
I feel like if you're just a fan of the NFL, you don't pay too much attention. You go up to it, the average fan. What's the Chargers' record? 2-2, 1-3. No,
exactly.
they're 0-4. They I don't know. They pass the eye test. They just they can't get it done. I feel like every year they lose close games. This year so far, I'm gonna read you their deficits. How much they lost by. Broncos by 3. Dolphins by 2, Chiefs by 14, Eagles by 2.
Wow. Unbelievable.
How long can that, stand up?
They're due, but I just don't see them getting it done this week. I think the Giants are, they're desperate. Another team that we thought that they were going to be a threat here.
Yeah.
In the NFC.
I still don't think you can sleep on them. They're going to knock somebody off at some point, and so they're going to, while they may not be
their O-line,
in the NFC East race, they're going to play a part.
O-line's looking a little bit better against the Eagles. I know that they're alone. O-line, I thought the Eagles were going to have a field day against Eli. I think they only recorded maybe 1 sack. Yeah. So their O-line is improved. But yeah, I think they're going to have a good second half, and we'll start to win some games here. I think it starts with the Chargers.
Mitch Trubisky gets his first start. He looked good in the preseason.
Mitchell the Mitchell.
Yeah, right. Minnesota, hobbling into this game. I don't know when Sam Bradford's going to play again. But what a boring game. All the eyes are going to be on the Sunday night game. Chiefs. That line does not make sense to me. That line seems way too good to be true. And this is a Chiefs team that has owned this Houston team, dating back a couple of years, they beat them in the playoffs and they just crush them. But I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Scare you a little bit. Mm-hmm. It should. It started at -1.5, and even with the money on the Chiefs,
it's going down to 1.
It's going down to 1. So that should tell you something. It's one of those, what do they know that we don't?
Yeah.
And obviously Houston's hot right now. Deshaun Watson's playing out of his mind. They're at home. We'll see what happens. I'll definitely be tuned in.
We always talk about this. Stay away from the public money. Scrolling through here, we're gonna look. At some. We said 73% of the money on the Chiefs. Chiefs spread. Another highly. Most other games are pretty even. 64% of the money. This is interesting on Jacksonville +8.
Wow.
71% on the Jets as a pick'em against the Browns. That might be a good play.
Yeah.
It's the Browns.
It is the Browns, but being at home, I don't know. The Jets are still suspect as shit. It'll be a crap game. A lot of crap games this week. That's why
a lot of bye weeks, like we said.
Yeah.
So, your fantasy team might be hobbling into this week with a lot of guys out.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
One brief moment here.
I think all these teams can go to hell for taking a knee during the anthem.
All right, yeah, we got Michael Viticolona on here, and that's what he thinks about the NFL this week. Mike, what other, do you like any games as far as like matchups go, or you think all the teams should just go to hell? Because this kid's a fucking
I'm
American.
liking this -6 for the 6.5 for the Cardinals against the Eagles.
I love
talk about that.
Cardinals gonna have a tight game.
Dude, that's the game I went with my suicide pick.
So, are you saying you like the Cardinals? Do you think it's going to be a tight game?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
Cardinals might cover. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Right now, the line's 6.5.
Wow.
Is this coming from an Eagles fan?
Yeah, he's a big Eagles fan.
Wow. Interesting. Good to hear some insider information there. I would have not thought of that at all.
I don't know. I'm just feeling funny about this line. I don't know.
It scares you. Are you going to the game by chance?
I guess I will be there.
If this line climbs north of 7, I think you go all over it. Like, if you really do truly believe in the Cardinals, it is a touchdown in an NFL game. Screams backdoor cover.
Yeah, 7's huge, man. You don't really see that line too often.
There's a lot of tight lines this week. That is one of the bigger ones.
It's a tough week to pick if you're a betting guy.
I mean, the only other bigger line is the Steelers-Jaguars game. Steelers are given 8.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's all over that
Jaguars.
one.
I mean, I can't trust those fucking guys.
Yeah, nah.
No, they're terrible.
Blake Bortles is,
I did pick Blake Bortles up in my fantasy league as the last-ditch, garbage time QB guy.
That's not a bad pickup. Frat boy Bortles. Yeah, I don't hate it, Mike. So
any other plays here for our listeners?
Yeah, Mike, this is your chance to get some fans. Do you like any other picks here?
Yeah, I like Seahawks all day over the Rams. So
Wow.
They keep the shit out of the Rams.
Wow.
That is Ron actually was just talking about that.
In the league right now, and they haven't played a single good defense all year.
Damn.
Yeah, this Seattle team is a team that starts very, very slow. And they kind of turned it on last week, given it was against the Colts. But, they might be, getting into their stride right now.
I said that.
Yeah, I think it's a little disrespectful that the Rams are given 1 against them.
Wow.
After beating Dallas?
Dallas really isn't a good team. I mean, they have a great offense, but their defense is, Christ, Orlando Scandrick still starts for them. They're really not that good on defense.
Yeah. I hate Dallas. It would be awesome. I mean,
yeah, I can't stand Dallas.
Yeah. So,
And Dallas is given 2 against the Packers.
Yeah. Packers aren't hurt today. Are their tackles playing? You don't know.
You like the Packers there, too. I said the same thing. It's going to be a tough game for Dallas, and they got a lot to prove.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Green Bay coming off an extended week. They did play on Thursday night.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. They had 10 days to prepare. And I think they're getting Mike Daniels back this week, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Their D-tackle.
They're hurt at running back, though. I just picked up that I don't even know what the hell his name is.
Yeah, their third stringer.
Yeah.
Montgomery still has a chance to play.
That's kind of big.
Is he? I saw he's questionable. And Devontae Adams actually might play after taking that disgusting hit. You know, they're saying he's out of the hospital. He just has concussion symptoms. You know, so if he's good to go, that helps as well. You know.
I'd be surprised if he played, but
he got lit up.
He got fucking rocked. He got rocked.
Good stuff, Mike. We look forward to having you more on the show.
Is this like for real right now, or are you just like fucking with me?
Nope.
Again, big thank you to Michael Viticolona for being a guest on the show. We look forward to having him on.
So, you know, nonetheless, enjoy the rest of this week. You know, we said it's a great week. Playoffs are going on here. Yankees just got out of a jam. Bases loaded, no outs, only give up one run. You know, a little momentum there. So, you know, just enjoy this.
It's a great time of year, folks.
If you're big into NHL, I feel like NHL, it's like you're either a super fan or you're not.
I'm a super fan.
Yeah, you know, so enjoy that.
Flyers,
very exciting.
Big road win yesterday. Kick off the season. Simdog with a hat trick.
Wow.
Shout out to
NBA
all the
kicking
Flyer
off here
faithful
soon,
out
man.
there.
This is the best time of the year, in my opinion.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, well, I'm excited. I hope we get a buck here coming up here, Tanner.
We'll have
both
to.
due.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully next week. Actually, next week I will not be on the show. I'll be on an island off the coast of Canada
Wow.
on a hunting trip.
With your vacation, you do that. I took a week. I took the last week of archery season off, the 11th through the 17th. You know, to get some last ditch hunting in. You know, try and catch the rut.
It's all about commitment, man.
Fall weather, it's great. Just enjoy it. Like I said, I might try and get Ray here on the phone, see what we can do. But if not, adios.
Have a good week, guys.
Turn